what we have seen till now is we have seen static partitions, playing with partitions in two different scenarios. First scenario was when the client was sending different files to us and how we handled the data to load into a partition table, which was static. Okay, and the second scenario was when the client was sending a single file. Okay, then how we handled that scenario to load the data into static partition. Let's move ahead with today dynamic partition. Okay, so as the name itself suggests, dynamic partition, which means that it will handle dynamically your partitions. You don't need to worry about the partitions. Okay, you'll get to know when we write the statements. Okay, so can we create one table same like yesterday? So can you create one intermediary table for the files?
Okay, means staging table.
Yeah, staging table. I cannot see your notepad. I'm not able to see the notepad.
Okay, I'm again already presented. Okay.
Can you present your screen again?
Yeah.
Yeah, now it is coming up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so for dynamic partition, we'll use the same file. Remember, we have used one file, employee underscore all.txt.
Yes.
There is one file, so we'll try to use that file. So what I want is, okay, so I want you to load that file into an intermediary table. You know now how to create an intermediary table, right? Like
Yes,
a
sir.
one managed table. So create that and load the data.
File name is employee object. Okay.
Yeah, we have that file, right? Yesterday we have done. stg partition underscore dynamic, you can write.
Hello, Saif Sandeep here.
Yes, Sandeep.
So actually in real time we used to create external tables, right? I just want to confirm that.
Yeah. In projects, mostly we'll be going for external tables.
Okay, fine. Thanks.
Did you use your Hive debug? Yeah. Maximize your screen. Thank you. Now the things are being picked up quickly. And why it is showing first as a column as a null? Did you skip the header properties?
Yes.
Then why it is showing table properties skip dot header dot line dot count equals to 1, right? Load data locally in path into table stage partition dynamic. Then why it is not being skipped?
Listen, wrong.
Can you just show the file? Why it did not?
No, no, here the problem is typo.
Okay.
I'll do one thing. I'll drop again create.
Yeah, you will have to drop and recreate this table. There is one alter table command also. Alter table. I'm not able to recall that property. Alter table property skip dot header set header dot line dot table. Okay, cool. So what we have done is we have loaded the data from employee underscore all dot txt file into an intermediary table. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So now what we will try to do is we'll try to create a partition table. Okay, on a country column. Can you create a partition column on a country table?
Something like again to create.
No, I didn't get you what you are saying.
No. Now what to do? To create a.
You have to create a partition table.
Okay.
Remember yesterday we have
Yeah.
created same thing. So there is nothing new we are trying to do. So that's why I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
Let's do it and let's make mistakes and let's learn. You can give any name. So just remove part staging and the main table name would be partition dynamic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool then. Check your syntax. Is your partition syntax correct?
Please by partition.
So I guess now things are like coming slowly in flow. Can you show the partition table describe? cannot see the partition column over here. Can you do what Roshan is saying?
No, no, I'm not able to hear. Can you repeat again, please?
Describe formatted. Remember, we have one more command. Spelling error. Yeah. So it's a managed table. Which table you are describing? See, that's why you are not getting. Simple. Where is the partition information? That is a managed table.
At the top, column name, countries change.
Yeah. So it's always like from the beginning. Okay. So the column names, after that partition column name. Now can you do describe table without formatted? You should see that as well. At the bottom. Okay, cool. So don't forget all these small things, because once we are moving ahead, we need to remember all the things which we have covered. Okay. Now what we are trying to do is we are trying to load the partition table dynamically. Okay, so earlier, if you remember yesterday, we were trying to use different load commands or different insert commands, and let's say there are hundreds of partitions. So what I would have done, I would have written hundreds of load commands or hundreds of insert commands, right?
Yes.
Okay, so in dynamic partition we don't need to worry about all these headache. It internally handles everything. How? Let's write a insert statement. Can you go to your notepad? Can you write a insert statement? Insert into table name. Insert into table name. Okay, then what we write in static partition while writing the insert after this? Partition keyword, right? Can we write partition? And we just need to provide the
Country.
we just need to provide the column name. That's it. We don't need to do anything. That's it. Remember, in static partition what we used to do, we used to provide the value also, right?
Yes.
So that is the first difference. So here we don't need to provide any value. Then afterwards what we used to write, select all the columns, right?
Yeah. Except the partition column.
Beautiful. And what we used to write, we used to write where clause, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is no need of where clause over here. That is the second change. Okay. And the third change is, in static partition we used to not write the partition column in the select clause, but in dynamic we need to write that column at the last every time. Okay. There are three changes. What is the first change?
Column name to write. Do not need to specify
Yeah,
the
we should not specify the value for the partition column. That is the first change. Second change,
partition column will be at the end of the selected point.
yes, whatever the partition columns are there, let it be one column or two column, so they will always come at the last of your select statement. Okay, and the third, we do not
No
need
need to
to
go
write
to
a where clause. Can we execute this now? So we are trying to handle the partition data dynamically. So no need to worry about the client is sending one file, multiple files, etc., etc. Sorry, there is some issue. Okay, good. We got the issue. So I wanted this issue permanently. Purposely. That's why I did not show. Can you read the issue? Sorry, can you read the error? Dynamic partition strict mode requires at least one static partition column. Okay. To turn this off, set Hive. It is instructing we need to set certain properties. Can you copy that set property from the set command entirely? You have missed set. Okay. So whenever we are using dynamic partition, we need to set. That was correct, right? Why you are? Yeah, semicolon. Enter. So whenever we are trying to apply a dynamic partition, okay, we need to write by default here it is, we can go ahead with one property also, okay, but generally in projects we go with four properties. Okay, so the first property is hive.execute.dynamic.partition equals to true. Okay, can you come to your notepad? It will work with one also, but in projects we try to write, because it depends on scenario to scenario, and generally we go for four things. Okay, so we have written the mode. Can you just write set hive.execute.dynamic? Just copy that entire, you have already copied, right? Just remove the keyword, that is the mode, at the end. No. Why you are removing from this? Copy one more thing, right? Yeah. Copy this, yeah, and paste it. Okay, remove that mode. Set hive.execute.dynamic partition should be true. Remove that dot also. Yeah, and the value would be true. Okay, this is the true, TRU, boolean value, false and true. Okay, so this is the second property. The third property is, can you write the third property?
Sir, I couldn't understand. Mode and vision and listen. What is the difference?
The difference between is, see, what is the mode? Either the mode is static or dynamic. We need to say. So it's a strict mode or non-strict mode. So with the help of strict and non-strict, so if it is like a strict mode, which means that you can't apply a dynamic partition. So
Okay.
in a non-strict mode only we can apply a dynamic partition. And here what we are saying is, please enable the dynamic partition in the second property.
Okay.
Okay, ideally with one property also we can go, that is not an issue, but I generally we go, means it's up to us and depends on the scenario to scenario. Okay, can we write the third property? Set hive.execute, copy paste, we'll just change it.
Hmm.
Copy
Okay. Right.
paste, copy paste.
No, already done. Acha, this one.
Again, means we need to write 3-4 properties. Can you copy this and yeah, one, anything.
Okay.
No. Control Z. Why you are removing the earlier property? Yeah, copy this property and paste in a new line.
One more new line.
Yeah, that is fine. Wait. Okay. Now the third property is set hive.execute.dynamic.partitions. Okay, with the S. Sorry, set hive.execute.max. After execute, you need to write max. Where you are writing?
Execute.
But where you are writing in the second? Am I saying in the second line? We want to write in the third line, right? So
No,
those
this is
first.
He's already writing.
3.
See, remove line number 289 and 290. Go to your PDF.
Okay.
Have you opened the PDF? Yeah. Go to
Yeah.
your dynamic partition. A little down. Dynamic partition. Yeah. Go. Yeah. Can you copy these four things over here? Can you see there? Yeah. So these are the four properties you'll have to set. Okay. Yeah. Remove everything and copy paste. Okay. So always remember. So these are the four properties you'll have to set. Okay. So, but in this Cloudera VM, we can go ahead with one property also. That is dynamic. The mode as a non-strict. Okay. So we have already done that. Can we come to the Hive terminal? Now try to load the data with the insert command. Should work. Just press up arrow. Yeah. Execute it. So it will execute your map reduce job. Earlier it was throwing an error. It was telling us please turn off your strict mode. Okay. So we have turned off the strict mode. Strict mode means we can only apply static partition. We cannot apply dynamic partition. So hence we are saying it to a non-strict mode. So now here I'm not specifying my any partition column value, neither I'm trying to specify the where clause. Automatically on the basis of a country, it will try to load the data into my Hive table, and also at the back end, which is nothing but my HDFS file system, it will try to create the different directories. Meanwhile, can you go to the path on the edge node? Yeah. Let's see the map reduce job is completed or not. Yeah. Can we see the data into the table? Now first, can we see the data into the table? Okay, we are having the data for the different countries. Okay, appropriately set. Now can we see the data at HDFS level? Can we see? By default, all the three partitions have been created depending on the column data. We don't need to do anything. So understood the difference between static partitions and dynamic partitions?
Yes, sir.
So, sir, like when we need to use then static partition, like
You tell me,
always we
like,
can.
no, you tell me, like, what we have seen that, like, in which scenario we will go for static and which scenario we will go for dynamic. Remember the question which I asked yesterday? I told you that I will be answering after the dynamic partition. Let's take a call. Why will so now we understood the concept, right?
Right.
So in which scenario you will go with static and dynamic? Let's take a call. We might be wrong or we might be correct also. No issues.
Yeah. So if you get a file with different different country names, so we'll go with dynamic. So if you get a single file, I mean multiple files with single country in every file, so we'll go with static.
No,
Am I right?
even if I'm trying to get multiple files, I can still go with dynamic partition. I can load the data into intermediary table and I can just write insert override command. I can do that way also. I can do that way
Hello, sir.
also. Then
Hello, sir.
yeah.
Can you possible is a multi partition in multiple column like as country and state?
Yes. Partition. So we will have to create. See, like we have country as a India, right?
Yeah.
Under country there are different states like Maharashtra. Then we have means like Delhi. Then we have
Yeah.
Madhya Pradesh. Okay, and under Maharashtra there are different cities. We can do that also.
Okay.
So the only difference would be the partition by column will be means. Can you go to your create statement? Yeah. So after partition column country. So after country, string is written, right? After that comma state. After that state comma city. That's how your syntax will be. We can do that. You can means we just need to change the data and do that. We can easily do, because in projects how we partition the data is depending on the date column. So in a year we have 12 months, right? And in 12 months we have like days, right? So we are using multiple partitions in the projects: year, month and day. Are we getting that?
Yes.
Yeah, we can use multiple partition, and that is what practiced. Okay, any questions? Okay, let's come back to the question why when we will go for static and dynamic partition.
Yeah. So if you get in a single files, we used to load the data with 100 times.
Yeah, that's one scenario I can say. Because let's say in static partition what is happening is like I need to execute my load statement n number of times. Okay, that is like a time consuming, and manual process is getting involved, and there could be chances of human errors as well. Okay, dynamic partition helps us to eradicate that. So we just need to take a one simple statement and we'll execute that. Okay, that is the first scenario. Second scenario, if you have seen in static partition there is one flexibility. Okay, what is that flexibility? One flexibility is there is, let's say if we are getting a single file. Okay, if we are getting a single file, and let's say we are getting file for all the countries: India, UK, US, Australia, Germany and so on. But my requirement is, for my application I just want to load the data only for India country, right? I can do that with static partition table, static partitions also. I can just use one load statement with only partition for India, and I can load the data. Okay. So these are a couple of scenarios wherein you can opt for static and dynamic partition depending on your requirement. Okay. But mostly in projects you will find your table partitioned on a date column only. Okay, most of the time I have seen that, like in all my projects, like it's only for date column: year, month and day. That's how the data is being reflected. Got it? Static partition and dynamic partition.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, and that multiple columns, please try that multiple columns, but definitely we can do that. And moving ahead, there will be one project which I would be giving to you all once we finish the Hive sessions. There you will have to do the partitioning table on year, month, and day. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So dynamic partition is done. Then let's move ahead. I think the next concept is like bucketing, I guess. Can we go? Can we see ahead? So you can go through all this, okay? So I've already shown you add partition, dynamic partition, etc. and pros and cons. Just go a little bit up, pros and cons. So I think we have already seen this, but again, you can just go through all this because it is helpful in the interviews to say some statements, okay? So I have documented something, so you can make use of this, okay? So when starting with partitions, so we have already seen this, so I'm not going through this. Okay, let's see the next concept, that is there is one small concept, no table, no drop table. Okay, we'll try to see afterwards. That is not so important. I'll show you that at a later stage. Hive bucketings. Okay, can you stop your screen share?
Site one question.
Yeah,
For dynamic, we just set a property, right?
yeah,
Strict and non-strict.
yeah.
So, I mean, if you face any question on that, I mean, why we need to change for only dynamic? So, what should we?
The answer would be is because by default only static partitions allowed. So if we want to apply a dynamic partition, the mode should be turned to non-strict. So it's only the strict mode that is only for static partition. That is what you'll have to say.
Okay. Yeah.
Is my note means are you able to see my notepad?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. Remember, I think I have already shown this diagram last time, but let me recall this diagram a little. So hopefully you will be able to recall. Okay. So if you recall this, so let's say I was trying to draw a table. Okay, and this table had, let's say, so this is nothing but table, and let's say this one table had like 1 terabyte of data. Okay, and in this table we had different products. Okay, like a loans account. Okay, then we have credit cards, then we have savings account. Okay, then we have current account. Let's take an example. 4 products are coming and the entire data is of 1 terabyte. Okay, so if I want to scan this entire table, okay, so if I'm trying to scan this, and let's say there is a small query which is coming. If you recall, I have shown this concept. So select, let's say, all the records from my table. Okay, and I'm just writing a where clause where my current, let's say the current account equals to 1 2 3 4 5, something like this. Okay, so the query is something like this. Okay, so then what will happen, so to scan this or to get the data for this, the entire table would be scanned, right, in a normal table, because neither my table is partitioned. Okay, neither my table is bucketed. So if I want to fetch the data for this only one record, so my entire 1 terabyte of data would be scanned linear. Okay, so I don't know, means people might be knowing like linear search and binary search. Explore on the Google linear search and binary search. Okay, so what will happen is, so it will try to scan the entire table, and let's take an example to get this data of current account 1 2 3 4 5. How much time it is taking? Last time we have seen an example. This is taking a kind of 10 minutes. Remember? Are we able to recall this example?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then what we did? We created one table which was
Partition table.
Yes, beautiful. So one table which we created was partition table. Okay, and we had partitioned the table on the basis of products. Okay, let's take an example of this. Okay, so what I would do is I will just quickly copy this from here and paste this over here. Let's take an example. Now what is happening is, in this partition table, so all the data is segregated. Where it is segregated? In HDFS file directory. Now you know this.
User.
No, where it is segregated. So a table is written with,
Inside of table
huh?
folder.
Inside.
Yes, yeah, you will not say folder, you will say Linux terminologies, directories, correct?
Okay.
So directories are created for every partition. Remember, now we have just seen dynamic partition. So country for country, UK, India, US, 3 directories got created. Are we able to relate? Yes, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. So if you see in this normal table, it was taking 10 minutes. Why? Because the entire table was getting scanned. But now the same query, if it is getting applied on your partition table, these 3 partitions are not evaluated. Why? Because it is directly jumping to this partition, which is like of current account, and it is trying to scan only this partition and fetch the data. So let's say we are able to get the data in 2 minutes. Just any small example I am trying. So are we able to see some performance boost? So from
Yeah.
10 minutes
Yeah.
we have come to 2 minutes. Okay. Now let's take one more scenario. Okay. Now the third scenario is the bucketed concept. Now let's take, okay, so I'll just take only one and explain, and I'll try to explain. Okay, no issues, we can take 4 and explain that also. Okay, so now let's try to see this. Now the table how we will be creating is bucketed table, bucketed. Okay, and let's say bucketed table. So current account. Okay, so current account, let's say the current account are of, like, let's say, what are the different types of current account I can say? Yeah, let's take this, like bronze. Okay, then I have silver. Okay, then I have gold. Okay, then I have platinum. Got it? So let's take an example. In this current account, okay, whatever the current account which I am trying to show over here, okay, again under this current account I have 4 different segregations. Just for an example I am taking a, it could be a scenario, it can have 10 segregations also, but just for an example I am taking 4. Okay, so the current account can be of 4 types: bronze current type, silver current type, gold current type, and platinum current type. Okay, now the same table, okay, so let me copy this again and let me bring it over here. Okay, so we'll try to see. So let's take an example, and I'll tell you that later. Okay, now when the same query is coming, okay, so whenever it is starting from, let's say, 1, it is considered as platinum. Or let's not go into that detail also. Let's, okay, so now if you see under this current account, how many products are there?
4 products.
4 products. Those products are bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. Okay, so these are your 4 products. Now what happens in a bucketed table? Okay, what happens in a bucketed table? There is a hash concept which is applied. Hash code concept. Okay, hash code. And how this hash code behaves? It behaves on a mod of if you remember, like in SQLs, like mod of, like let's say 1 comma by 4, so the remainder would be, what would be the remainder? 1, right?
Yeah.
Let me copy this. 2. So let's say here, let's say my second, if my second record is coming, so the remainder is, let's say 2. Okay, then let's say the third record is coming. Okay, so the remainder is 3. Okay, and when the fourth record is coming, the remainder is 0. Okay, so there is a hash mechanism which is applied for distribution of data when we are trying to see a bucketing table concept. Okay, which concept is applied? A hash mechanism concept is applied. That's what we need to remember. Okay, cool. Now if we remember, if we know that, then what happens is, if the same query is coming, if it is going into partition table, let's take an example. Okay, so first let's understand how the data will be getting distributed. Okay, so let's say, so if you see now, let's say the bronze data, so let's say we are trying to create 4 buckets. Okay, so the bronze data will be kept in one bucket. Okay, so the bronze data will go into one bucket. Okay, silver data will go into the second bucket. Okay, the gold data will go into the third bucket, and the platinum data will go into fourth bucket. How this will go into the buckets? With the help of hash code mechanism. Okay, so the first record, the divide, let's say I'm trying to create a table with 4 buckets. So the first record is coming, so the remainder would be 1. So it will go to the first bucket. For second record it is coming, the remainder is 2. It will go to the third bucket. Third record is coming, the remainder is 3. So it will go to my third bucket. Fourth record is coming, the remainder is 0. It will go to my fourth bucket. Fifth record will come. Again, what will be the remainder?
1.
It will go to my first bucket, and so on. And so on my cycle would be applied. Okay, and let's now take an example. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 belongs to a platinum record. So in spite of scanning these 3 data, it will directly jump to this platinum bucket, and it will try to scan only this bucket, and it will try to fetch the data. So in this scenario, let's say I'm able to get my data in 1 minute. Just for a small example. So if you see, so we started from 10 minutes, then we came to 2 minutes, and then we came to 1 minute. So if you see, this is like entire piece. From this entire piece, we took only one piece. And from this one piece also, again we went a little down and we just took one small sub piece. So this is an example of your bucketed. Are we able to understand what is bucketed?
Yeah.
Internally, these are all like again partitions.
I did not understood the question. Hello?
No, I mean, yes, sir. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Roshan.
Yeah, when you say bucketed, I mean, in terms of table, it is all like an internal partition to the current account.
Yes, it will be internal partitions only, means internal directories only.
Okay.
Okay, and to create bucketed tables, okay, to create bucketed tables, we do not need a partition table. That is one concept again we need to remember. But again, internally, it will be creating directories.
Okay.
I'll tell you how it will be creating directories. Don't worry about that. We'll see that practically. But to create bucketed tables, we don't need partition as a mandate. We can directly go for bucketed tables also. We can skip this part also. not mandatory. Got it?
Okay, sir. Yeah, got it.
Any questions in understanding this concept? No questions? Okay,
Yeah,
so
no.
let me stop my screen share then. Manoranjan, can you present your screen? Is Manoranjan there? Yeah. Okay, so now what we'll try to do is we'll try to create a table. Okay, so we'll try to create a table with a bucketed. Okay, so I think for this again we'll have to have some data. Let me just share the data. Okay, so now how we will be how we will be moving the files from the local directory to Cloudera VM with the help of WinSCP.
Yes.
Yeah, we could have done just like Control C and Control Paste also, and we could have created the file, but let's not try to do that way. Let's try to do with a general way. Okay, mention your IP address of your Cloudera. Do you remember that? No, don't go there. Yeah, have you opened the terminal? 1.100. Yeah, that is fine. 1.100. So first two are always common. 192.168. 4 WinSCP got opened. Yeah, username Cloudera, password Cloudera. Yes. Okay. So we are able to connect. Now can you go to the path where you have downloaded your file? Okay, we can see that employee bucket over there. Yeah. Where we need to go? Where we need to put this file? Under which folder? Yes. LFS folder. Beautiful. Drag and drop. Good. Okay. So did we got that file? Yeah. At the bottom. Yes. Now can you check on the CLI command line interface edge node? Are we able to see that file? We are able to see that file where you have.
Got it.
Yes. Yeah. Last file. Okay. Can we see first 5 records of this file?
Okay. Yeah.
First 5 records. I'm not saying last 5.
First, I don't know that comment.
Head command. Head -5. Head from top, tail from last. Yeah. Okay. Can we see the data now? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you create a table using this column names now? So we'll try to see the bucketing concept on this table.
So I didn't receive that email. So
Who's this?
this is Amit.
I have already shared with like everyone. So your email ID is like amitkumar.tripathi, right?
right.
Yeah, I have already shared. Can you just check because everyone Gmail access. Google Drive. So what about everyone? Anyone has seen that? Means apart from Manoranjan?
Yeah, we received.
Okay. Amit, let's wait for 3-4 minutes. Okay. Hello.
Yeah, sure, sir.
Yeah. Let's wait for let's say 7:55 or 8. If it's not received, then I'll again reshare.
Thank you.
Okay. So now in the bucketing concept, what we are trying to create, we are trying to create again a simple table. Okay. Same process we'll try to apply. Intermediary table and then load the data into the main table. Mention the data types correctly, yeah. Otherwise it would have. So string. So the first column is string, second column is string. Zip is of integer, state is of string, pets is of integer, path is of integer, square feet of integer, type is of string, and price is of integer. Looks good to me. Yeah. Row format delimited, fields terminated by, and skip the header. You can copy that statement from 275 and 276. Yeah, create this table and load the data into this table. Load the data into this table. Let's see first 5 records. So I told we wanted to see first 5 records. Now we are seeing the entire data. Okay, that is fine, not an issue. The data is loaded, right? Okay. Now what I want is create a partition table. Can you just describe this table? Simple describe, not formatted. Yeah, simple describe table. Employee underscore bucket. Okay. So these are the column names. Okay. Now what I want you is create a partition table on the basis of city. Create a partition table on the basis of city. And in city we have different streets, so we'll apply a bucketing on that column. We can do that also. Create table with table name. You can copy that any means like line number 280, 281. Oh, sorry, the column names are different. Sorry, the column names are different. You can copy, yeah. So just copy that line number 294, the column names.
You're telling a whole thing.
Okay. Create as you want. Like give the table name, employee bucket. Ideally, we would have given that table name as stage. Okay, not in fine. Employee bucket city. Yeah. and the column names. So now we are trying to do a bucketing on, we are trying to do a partitioning on the city column, correct?
Yes.
So the city column should not be part of your create table statement, correct?
Correct.
Remove that. The data type also. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Right. Partitioned by and the city column and the data type.
How
Yeah.
many use dynamic partition is static partition?
I did not get your question.
No, I mean because now we are creating the partition which is
Okay.
nothing but a static partition.
Yeah. No. Yeah. As of now, like, see, as of now, it's just like when you are trying to create a partition table. Okay. So how you will identify whether your table is partition, static, or dynamic? There is no way, right? Because while creating the partition table, either it's a static or dynamic, you are using the same syntaxes, right? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
So I don't know who asked the question and okay, Roshan. Okay, let's move ahead. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to create a table, partition table, and let's say partition by city, row formats. Okay. Now here what we are trying to do is we are trying to add one thing extra. After partition by column, can you press enter? Now we need to create a bucketed table. Okay. So how can we write? So to write a bucketed table, there is a syntax. So we need to write clustered by. Can we write clustered by? Yeah, clustered by and the column name. So the column name is, let's say, street, because under one city there could be multiple streets, right? It should be in open parenthesis and close parenthesis. That's a column, right? Yeah, and we do not need to provide the data type like how we provide the data type for partition column. Okay, because that column is already available in your create statement. Hence, we are not providing the data type. Are we able to understand that? So clustered by street. Okay. Now, how many buckets we need to create? So we need to create, let's say, 4 buckets. So can you type a small syntax into? So number 4 as a number, yeah, space buckets, buckets. So this is how your syntax would be. Okay, clustered by column name into how many buckets. Okay, so what we are trying to do is we are trying to create a table which will be partitioned by city, and that table city there will be multiple streets. So in cities, if there are multiple streets, so I need to divide again into 4 buckets. That is what I am trying to do over here. Are we able to get this statement?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you copy this table and create? So to do 2 things. Can you describe this table with a formatted? Now we should be able to see the bucketing information also. Where is the partition column? Yeah, partition is city. And where is the bucketed? Can we see? The bucketing column is that and the number of buckets is 4. Are we able to see that information? Earlier we were seeing like -1. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So now try to load the data from the intermediary table.
Once disturbed, empty bucket
Yes,
table.
yes. Because we have already loaded the data into one main staging table, right?
Yeah.
Same statement. Insert into table name, partition by city, and the select clause. Insert into table name. Yeah. So the table is dynamic partition. So we'll say partition is a keyword. Yeah, beautiful. And what is the partition column name for us? It's a city. Yes. And then what we write? Select all the columns, and the
Except
partition column will be at the last. You can copy from there also. Edge note. You can copy from here also. Right. So while creating the table, have you maintained this order? Otherwise, the data will go in different columns, right? I hope you have maintained the column names also. Yeah, that is correct. Just remove the data types. Okay. And the city column should be at the last. Remove that city, yeah. Okay, before executing this statement, can you go to your PDF? I'm not able to recall if there any property which need to set. I'm not able to recall because any property, yeah, a little ahead. No, a little up. There is one property, hive.enforce.bucketing equals to true. Okay, first, I got that property. I got remember that. That's fine. Let's come back. Can you execute this? Now, what will happen is when you execute this, okay, when you will execute this, there will be issue. What will be that issue? Your table will not be bucketed, which means that your data will get partitioned, okay, but your data won't get bucketed. That is what we'll see now. First we'll see the problem, and then we'll try to see the how to eradicate that problem. So set hive.enforce.bucketing equals to true. We need to write that. Can you go to the PDF again till the time it is coming? So let me just see. And one more property. It set hive.enforce.bucketing. That is true. Okay, the property is this is similar to hive. By seeing this property, it will enable the dynamic bucketing while loading the data into hive table. Okay, okay, got it. No issues. Just paste this. So this property, even I was not able to recall it. So before that, just write set command at the beginning. First we will see. Now we will have the data partitioned on the basis of a city column, but we will not be able to see 4 buckets under each city. Okay, we'll try to see that. Let the hive statement get executed. Now see how many partitions are getting created on the basis of city got completed. Okay, can we see the data? Only limit to 5 records. Don't see the entire data. Select all the records from the table and limit 5.
Top 5, right? In match.
I did not get you. What you saying?
No, 5 records I have to check.
Yes. Only 5 records from this table.
To give the where condition or anything like top 5?
We have a limit condition. You just write first you write a normal select statement. and the table name. There is the table name in front of you. A little up. A little up. Yeah. Take that. That is also fine. Remove that dot. Yeah. And after that, just write limit space file. Space. Yeah. So we will be able to see only first 5 records. Okay. We are just validating whether the data is loaded correctly or not. Okay. So the data is loaded correctly. We are not able to see any nulls. Okay. Can we see this at directory level? HDFS level?
Have you seen here?
No, man. You are getting confused. Okay. That is at H node level. I want to see at HDFS level. So under this, we will be seeing multiple city directories now. Why? Because we have partition on the city column. Correct? Yes, no?
Yes.
Can we see now the data under any one of the directory? Can you do ls? Any one directory. No, you're copying incorrect. You need to copy from city. Yeah, the partition column. Yes. So we are seeing the partition for the city, that is Rancho Cordova. Okay, something like that. So here we will be able to see. Okay, so what it is telling this? It's no such file or directory, because that is like in, we just need to place in, I think, in double quotes. Can you just press up arrow? Can you mention that after, yeah. Can you try to press in double quotes? It is not able to recognize that as a string, I guess. Or we do not have anything under that. Okay, we have that. Only one part file, okay? We don't have like, yeah. Can we see the data for this? I think there is some data. So, but again, if you see, we can just only see one part file, right? Means we can just see only one part file as of now, right? We cannot see 4 part files, right?
Yes, only one.
Correct? So are we able to understand what is the issue?
Yeah, but he is not happy.
Manoranjan, are you able to understand?
No.
See, we have partitioned the data, right? We are able to see the partition data, right?
This partitions, yes.
Yes. And we are able to see that the data for that partitions also. Correct? But while creating the table, what extra thing which we have mentioned?
That bucket equal to 4.
Yes. Yes. So under this city, there should have been 4 part files.
Okay.
So we are only able to see only one part file, right?
One part, yes.
That is the issue. Are we able to understand that?
Yes.
Yes. Now can you truncate the table quickly? or drop the table, drop and recreate. It's a managed table. So the directories will also get dropped. Quickly drop the table. Your call is at what time?
8:30.
Okay, we'll quickly finish by 8:20. And can you enable that property? So first create the table. Create the bucket and table. Before loading the data, we need to enable that property. Yeah, the table is created. Now set hive.enforce.bucketing equals to true. Yeah. Now execute your load statement. Now what will happen? The data will be partitioned on the basis of city, and if your city is having multiple streets, then you will be able to see multiple part files in your under city directory. That is what the expectation is.
Go there. We go to Papa. You come here. You come again.
So it will take a little time. So let's wait for because it is doing all your partitioning, and after partitioning it will try to do a hashing on the bucketing column, and it will try to segregate the data into 4 different buckets. So that's why it is taking a little time. No issues in that. So now if you see, number of reducers are 4. Earlier you might not have up a little up. Okay, so there are 4 reducers which are getting applied. Okay, so 1 mapper and 4 reducers. So we'll try to see that a little statement also. So let it get executed. So now loading data to table Hive partition city. Actually there is one partition which has null also. Now it will try to load the data into multiple partitions. So now it is loading that partitions, etc. Let it load. Okay, completed the data. Can you just see first 5 records quickly? Is the data loaded correctly?
My name
Yeah.
is
Okay, the data looks good. Now, can you go to the edge node now? Now we'll be able to see that. Can you go to, just press up arrow, up arrow, up arrow, up arrow, hit enter. So under city, under employee bucket underscore city, which is nothing but your table name, there will be multiple partitions created, right? Yes. We will pick any one partition and then we'll try to go into that partition to see, are we able to see the buckets or not? Pick any one partition of your choice. No, again you are trying to, yeah, cool. Yeah, so we need to place in double quotes. That is like, yeah, it is having space. Yeah, hit enter. Can we see now? 4 part files got created. Earlier there was only 1 part file. Now if you see, 4 part files got created. Correct?
Yes.
Can we see any bucket data? Can we see third bucket? See, first bucket, second bucket, and the fourth bucket do not have any data. Only one bucket have their data. Third bucket. The reason being, it could be like it is having only one city corresponding to that, so that's why only. So just can you say, yeah. No, not that. Third bucket, 002. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. So it only that has the data. Yeah. Okay. Let's. Your call is like close. We'll quickly finish.
I want to
Okay. But again, like I wanted to show. Okay, we can see the data with the query also. Okay. So what is the data? 6007 Maribel. Okay. Now can you go to your Hive quickly? We'll see that query and we'll close the session. Can you just write a simple query? So select star from table name. Select star from table name. No where clause. No where clause. And just write table sample. One word. Table sample. Yeah. So which was the bucket? Can you just do alt tab for me? It was third bucket or fourth bucket?
Third.
No, 02. It means third bucket. Yeah. Can you come back? Can you, in parenthesis, can you write bucket 3 out of 4 because that is the data is in third bucket, right? 3 numeric 3 space out. No, first we need to write bucket as a keyword. Bucket 3. We are trying to see the data from bucket 3 out of 4. So we have 4 buckets, right? Yeah, cool. Yeah. And just semicolon and hit enter. We should be able to see the same data, that is 6007 something. Oh no, we are not able to see this. Why? There is some issue. Can you just press up arrow?
We have seen that in a particular city, right? So, but this is coming from all.
No, that is fine. So okay, can you just write? Okay, can you just after 4? Can you just write on space on street STREET bucket column? Yeah, that is the bucket column. Can you hit enter? Why we are able to see so many data? Just let me just after table sample, can you just try to give the space? Select star from table name. Table sample bucket 1 out of 4. Bucket 3 out of 4. That is correct.
But we have to filter by the city, right?
Can you just apply a where clause before that? A table sample. No, ideally, we just try to. I am not able to recall that. So can you just write there? Just write clause now. Where city equals to something, whatever your city was. Where city equals to in single quote. Yeah. Just go back to your edge node and copy the city name. What was the city name? English strings. No. That's what actually. Can you just? I'm not able to recall that. So I think your time is already there. Go on, right? Oh, I can take 5 minutes.
Okay.
I'll just take 4 minutes. If it is not, then we'll try to see tomorrow. Okay? I'll just do it 4 minutes. So can you go to the PDF? Is the query written? Because I'm not able to recall this query. So this is the bucket table, partition column. Okay, bucketed. We have done table sampling. Yeah. That's that. Table sampling. A little up. Yeah. Just can you maximize the screen? What is the query which we have written? Can you just a little. Yeah. Just that's fine. So select star from table name, table sample bucket 1 out of 4 and limit 10. The syntax is correct. Why we are, okay, can you just see for another directory whether we are able to see? But if you just go, okay, so yeah, just wait here only. Wait here only. So and bucket 3. Okay, can you go? Can you go back to your? Yeah, can you go back? Yeah. So just press remove that on street column. On street. So yeah, can you just go back a little back? And in place of bucket 3, can you just write 4? Hit enter. No. Bucket, that is correct. Just numeric 3 you need to remove and write 4. Yeah, hit enter.
And the where condition maybe we need to remove.
Okay, again the where condition is there. Can you remove that where condition also? Yeah, quickly hit enter. I think there is some issue in this. Okay, we'll try to. We'll try.
I think it is taking all the bucket from all the folders. For all the directories.
Yeah, there is some issue. We'll try to mitigate this issue tomorrow. I think it's like already crossed, so we'll try to see this tomorrow. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Take care. So I'll stop the recording.